Okay, we're going to start today by creating a new Illustrator document called Illustrator Experiments. Once you have the document created, we are going to experiment with several different tools over here. So we're going to start with the Shape tool. You've had some experience using this with the previous assignments. Just create one shape or several shapes. You just need something to work with. So you can make these different colors if you like. And then you're going to label this Shape tool. So you use the text tool and label that to indicate what tool you used to make that. Now the next one is I want you to know the direct selection tool, which is the white arrow, not the black one but the white one. It does something a little different. It allows you to select just one part of something and move just that one piece. So after you've created a shape, use the direct selection tool, manipulate that shape, and then you label that one also the direct selection tool. To show that you've used that tool. So then the next tool that we're going to do is the line tool, and it just works a lot like the pen tool, but it just creates one straight line segment. And then I want you to make the stroke. Right now there's no stroke, so choose a color for the stroke and then make the stroke larger so that you can see it. I'm making mine 13 point, and then you'll label this one as well. Line segment tool. Next we're going to use the pencil tool, and the pencil tool works a lot like, I'm going to give it a stroke here so that we can see once I start drawing. Oops, my text was selected. Go somewhere else and click the pencil tool, and this one we're going to give a stroke. We'll have no fill, and I'll make the stroke 5 point. The way the pencil tool works is it's a tool where you can just free draw any shape that you want, but the cool thing about it is you can adjust the shape. If it's not quite right, you can keep adjusting it till you get it just how you want it. And once you have it just the way you want it, then click away from it and you've got a shape that's created. So you could create a fill for this shape if you like, and it also has a stroke just like any other shape. So label that one the pencil tool. And next we're going to do the paintbrush tool. I think it's called the paintbrush, yeah, the paintbrush tool. And this tool allows you to paint with lines, obviously, and you can change the stroke of the lines if you select the line. So at first it seems like it's a lot like the pencil tool, not a big difference, but the big difference is that there are a whole series of brushes that you can use with this tool. And if you go over here, there's a little thing that looks like a cup of paintbrushes. If you click on that, then you can see the brushes, the different brushes that you can use. And down in the corner here, there's a little envelope, a folder, and there's a whole set of different brushes that you can use. So for example, for decorative brushes, I could do banners and seals, and then this has all kinds of different banners. So for instance, I could click on one of these banners, and if I've got the paintbrush tool selected or I'm painting with the paintbrush tool, it'll create a banner in the same style of the banner that I chose when I'm painting with the paintbrush tool. So I'll select the paintbrush tool, and right here, up here, you can see I've got this banner selected. So now if I paint a line like this, it's going to create a banner that follows that line.
Hunter Pyong, please come to the front office, high school office. Hunter Pyong, please come to the high school office.
So you can play with that one a little bit, try some different brush styles, We'll do this one for example. So I could paint that, and it creates the brush stroke in whatever direction I use. So that's the paintbrush tool. Pretty powerful tool, and go ahead and label that. I'm going to delete some of these just to keep everything organized. We'll call this one paintbrush tool. We'll make that a little bit smaller. We still have plenty of room. Alright, the next tool is we're going to do the blob brush tool. And this tool works much like the paintbrush tool and the pencil tool, but it again does something a little different. As you paint with the blob brush tool, it's going to create a shape with outlines instead of just a stroke. The paintbrush tool and the pencil tool just creates a stroke. And the pencil tool, if you create a circle or close the shape, then it'll create a shape inside. But with this blob brush tool, you can make a shape, any shape that you want, and once you're finished with your shape, it creates outlines all around the shape. So now I've got a shape that I can manipulate. I can change the shape of it, I can change the color of the shape, the fill, and I can add a stroke if I want to. So that allows you, the blob paintbrush tool allows you to create a shape in whatever your stroke happens to be. So whatever shape you make your stroke, that's the shape that it's going to be. It creates outlines around whatever you paint. So that's the paintbrush tool. I'm sorry, that's the blob brush. So we're going to label that one the blob brush tool. And next we are going to do the warp tool. And the warp tool has a whole series of tools. These little arrows in the corner means that there's other related tools in the same box here. So we have the warp tool, the twirl tool, the pucker tool, the bloat tool. All these things allow you to manipulate a shape and make it bigger or twist it, spin it around. So we're going to start by making a shape, and then we'll select the warp tool, and this warp tool lets you adjust the shape and manipulate the shape like I was smudging it, as if I was smudging it with my finger. So that's the warp tool. And if you click and hold on that tool, you can pick some different tools like the pucker tool, for example, and if you hold Alt and then click and drag, you can change the size of this tool. So hold down Alt and then click and drag while you're holding down Alt, and that changes the size of the tool. So if I click this, wow, that was pretty powerful. I'm going to Control Z and undo that. Let's make that smaller so it's not so powerful. And this was the pucker tool, so it makes everything squish in towards the center wherever I click that. So experiment with some of those tools. You don't have to label all of these tools. We'll just call it the warp tool to represent all those tools in general. So label that one warp tool. And next we're going to use the knife tool. And the knife tool is under the eraser. So if you click on this eraser and hold it down and then go down to the knife tool, then you'll be able to select the knife tool. Now to use the knife tool, we need a shape or something, so I'm going to make another shape here. And let's make this a different color just for fun. We'll make it blue. So there's our shape that we've made. I'm going to select off of it, deselect that item. And now I'm going to click the knife tool, which again was under the eraser, and you have to go down to the bottom to pick it. And what this knife tool does is it just slices things. So if you want to make two separate shapes out of one shape, you just cut it with the knife, and you can make as many cuts as you want. But as you're cutting up that shape, it's creating different shapes. So it's going to slice it into pieces, however you slice that. So you can slice whatever direction you want, and you can make as many slices as you want, but that's the knife tool. So we'll label that the knife tool. Make sure I'm telling you the right name for it. So there's the knife tool. And next we're going to do the symbol sprayer tool. So if you select the symbol sprayer tool, and you try to spray something, it's going to give you a noise and it'll say you need to select a symbol first. So the way you select the symbols is you go to Window, and you find the panel for symbols, and then that will pull that up, the symbols panel. Right now there's only this many symbols loaded in here, but just like the paintbrush tool, there's lots of different symbols. So you can go in the file folder here and choose any symbol that you want to. Let's do some florid vector pack. So these have different flourishes, and you can go through this pack here and select something that looks nice to you. Let's pick this one, and then you can start spraying it on. Spray the symbol as many times as you want. I'm going to Command Z just so there's not so many, but you get the idea. And again, you can hold Alt. Oops. I guess that doesn't work. Let's try. There we go. Use the brackets. The bracket keys on your keyboard is what makes that bigger or smaller. So the right bracket makes it bigger, the left bracket makes it smaller. So it's a little different than changing the size for the warp tool. So just spray a symbol. Oh, I made it the same size. Well, let's Control Z that, and I guess after you spray it, let's delete that. So after you spray that symbol, then you can adjust the size. So there's the symbol sprayer tool. Let's label that. And one more tool I want you to use, or learn how to use, is forget what it's called, the color guide. That's the other tool. So I want you to make several shapes, maybe 4 different shapes, then select them all and make sure they fit onto your canvas, and make them a different color. So normally we would go in here and pick a color, or we would double click on this right here and you can pick a color. But say you're trying to design a logo or a poster or something like that, and you want to pick several colors, different colors, that are harmonious, that look good together. And for just about anybody, that's a difficult challenge, to find 4 colors that match, that create harmony, that make a good set of colors. And that's what the color guide is for, is to help you choose a set of colors that look good together. And you can go through and pick each color one at a time, but that just takes a long time, and that's really difficult to do. So what you do is, with these 4 colors selected, you go into the color guide, and it gives you some options of different color harmonies. Now, this has a file folder down on the side here as well, and you have all these different presets of color combinations, different color schemes that you can put together. For example, I can go into art history, we can go to Impressionism, and it will adjust all of the colors to fit an Impressionist palette. And so then what you can do is just take these colors and drag them in.
Lindsay Battershell, please return to the West office. Lindsay Battershell, please come to the West office.
The boxes that you've already created. And they'll be harmonious. They'll fit good together. They'll look good together. So experiment with that. See nature. We could go to nature, get some flower type colors. So if you're doing something related to flowers, you could go to the flower colors and just pick some colors of flowers. And then you know they're going to be harmonious and look good together. Let's do another purple. So then you've got a palette, a color scheme that will work, that will be harmonious together. So that's a good tool to know, to be able to choose colors for your designs. So this is called the color guide. And those are the tools that I want you to be able to use. And you can be creative with how you lay this out and manipulating the text. You can choose different fonts and things like that. But basically, I want you to experiment with each of these tools. And you can see all of them right here listed, so make sure you experiment with each of these tools and then label your experiment when you're done experimenting. And that's the assignment.